If you'd like to be able to listen to the show without ads and have full access to bonus content, that's an option. To find out how, please go to dogmanencounters.com/podcast. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us for this special Saturday night episode of the show. Of course, we have a special guest coming back on. He's actually a fan favorite, probably one of the, I'd say probably the favorite special guest who's ever been on the show to share Encounters third-party version. But before we get into bringing him on, I just want to put something out there for you. There are a lot of you who have listened to the show for years on YouTube, not realizing that if you're heading down the road, if you're at work, if you're doing whatever, and it would be more convenient to listen to the show audio only, that's an option. It's been an option for years. It doesn't matter what your favorite podcast app is, Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, you name it. The show's available on your favorite podcast app. So if you don't have any need for watching the videos or any video feed on the show, please keep that in mind. And if you have an Alexa device, even if you say, Alexa, please play Dogman Encounters Radio, it'll let you listen to the show that way as well. But enough on that. Like I alluded to earlier, we've got a real special guest we're going to welcome back. Since he was on the show last, I can't tell you how many times people have asked me about his whereabouts. Is he doing all right? Well, I didn't know. I had no idea. I'd reached out to him, but I'd lost contact. Well, earlier this week, I got a message from him letting me know that he's still around. He's alive and well. Unfortunately, he experienced a loss in the family, but he expressed an interest in coming back on the show nonetheless. Well, let's get him in here now. Marvin, thanks so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me back, Vic.
Oh, it's great to have you. And of course, thank you for your time. Marvin, like I just mentioned to the listeners, you wouldn't believe how many messages I've gotten since you came on the show last, asking me what you're doing, what were your whereabouts, is everything okay? And like I just told them, I didn't know. I had no idea if you're okay, what you're doing, or anything like that. What have you been up to? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Like you was telling the listeners, I recently had a death in the family, and like I was telling you, this is my third sister that I've lost in the past 2.5 years, and it struck. I mean, it hit me really home, and I shut down for a few, but the one thing that I always used to do is I always still collected encounters. That's something that really brought me back out of this how can I say it, this little lockdown of mine, So like I said, when I called you, I was thrilled when you said anytime you want I can come back on the show. I was thrilled. Don't know how much I miss doing this, man. I love the people, man. I love all of y'all, and I miss y'all so much. But I'm alive. I'm doing okay, and I just want to get back to doing what I do best, and that's telling encounters.
That definitely is what you do best. You're born to do this. There's no denying that. That's a fact right there. And the dog maniacs, I can't tell you how happy they are to have you come back. So it's appreciated. It really is. Well, let's not waste any more time, Marvin. Let's get you back to doing what you do best after all. Please share these experiences with us.
Absolutely, Vic. All right. This first encounter I had for probably about several months. And I got it from an eyewitness, and it comes from out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And my eyewitness said that he had an aunt that moved down there, and she was staying there for like 4 years. And she asked him, would he like to come down there and stay with her for the summer? Now, mind you, when he went down there, he wasn't that old. He was only 10 when he had this encounter. So he goes down there, stays with his aunt for the summer. The first couple of weeks he's there, everything is all right, nothing, She gave him a list of chores to do. He would get up, do that, you know what I mean? So he did what he had to do, basically every day that she asked him. So he said around the third, maybe 3.5 weeks in, around almost a month, that's when he started to hear footsteps on the side of his window. Now, his window was facing the side. The side would be facing the tree lines. Oh, let me go back. But mind you, she owned it 4 acres. Now, she had her property all fenced in, but it was still woods all around her. So he was hearing footsteps around his window. So he would lay there, wouldn't pay it no attention. So he would hear it again. It would walk again. It would walk and stop, like it was going back and forth. So he sit up in his bed, and he listened. And while
Uh-oh. I think we lost you, Marvin. Are you there? Can you hear me? That's not good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, did you lose me?
Yeah, we lost you about 2 sentences back. If you can go back and take it from
I'm
there.
trying to think of where I went back at, where I lost at. Can you probably go back and see where I need to start at?
Ooh, don't have the ability to do that on a live.
Okay, all right. Okay, wait a minute, hold up. I'll let you know when I'm ready. I know when wait a minute, okay. Okay, I said he stood up. All right, I'm gonna start back over. I'm gonna start at the window. All right. Just let me know when you're ready.
Fire away.
All right. So he sits up and he hear these footsteps again. But it sounds like it's walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So he just stand there and he looked. And when he looked, he attacked. That. And it stopped. So he sits back down on the bed. He looks over there at the window. All he see is this large, like a large silhouette, like a large shadow, but he don't know what it is. He sits there for about 30 more seconds. He said that's when he can hear like dirt shuffling, and this thing was gone. The next day, he gets up, don't tell his aunt, don't say nothing. He goes outside, goes around there to where his window at. When he goes around there to where his window at, that's when he could smell like a strong smell of urine. And what smelled it like what was a dog to him. So later on that week, he was out Now this time he walking the dog. Takes the dog out and he was walking him around. He'll walk him all the way to the end of the property, then all the way back around. So as he walking the dog, they go around. And when they go around for the last time, the dog stopped. Dead in his tracks. It don't even move. But it looks over to his left, just inside the tree line. So my eyewitness says he looks over there too. And he says when he looks over there, he see this dark shadow coming out of the tree line just by her fence. Now, mind you, this thing is on all fours. At first sight, he think that it's a bear. But as this thing begins to walk, he said he noticed it was just something odd about it. That this wasn't no bear. Because he said it was all off. He said, for one, this thing was very large up top with a massive head. He said, so while he's standing there, watching this thing, because he still don't know what it is. He said this thing walks and get halfway past the fence of her property, and then it stops. He said it stops, turns its head left to the right, it sniffs. Then he said that's when this creature did something to let him know that this wasn't any type of animal. He said this thing stands up. And when it stands up, he said it's still facing him sideways. So, of course, me, I'm going to ask him. I say, well, how did this thing look? Sideways. He said this thing had a long snout, pointed ears, with a massive head. Say the head on this thing didn't make no sense. It looked at you big. That's what he said. Long arms with hands with claws. He said, so while this creature's standing up, it starts to sniff the air again. And this time, when it stopped, it turns around and it faces my eyewitness. Now, mind you, when it faces him, he said this took the cake. He said this creature lifted up a hand and placed it just on top of the fence. And he rested it there. This creature then starts to growl at my eyewitness. My eyewitness said he couldn't move. Said he couldn't do nothing. So as he's standing there and he's still watching this creature, and this creature is watching him, he hear a voice coming from the backside of the house. It calls out. It calls his name. But he don't answer back. He don't say nothing. He just hear these feet running in back of him. And when these feet stop, he turned just a little bit and he looked. And it was his little cousin. He said it in a low voice, "Go back in the house." She said no. That's when she looked over in the direction of this creature. And he said she let out this scream so loud. He said when she was doing that, this creature roared even louder. It shook the fence. I mean, he said it shook the fence like it wasn't nothing, like it was about to come out the ground. But it was nothing to this creature. He said, then the creature turns. And he said it slowly walked away. He said it didn't run. It didn't move fast. He said it slowly walked away. Grab his little cousin, Doug, they goes in the house. When he gets in the house, his aunt said, why was she out there screaming, making noise? He said, oh, nothing, I was playing with her. But her daughter said, no, I seen a monster standing up at the back of the gate. And she said, what? He said, "Mine." No, she don't do that. No, you didn't. Stop lying. It was a deer. So he lied to his aunt. And he told his little cousin that if you say anything else, then it's gonna come and get you. Now, I don't know if that was right, what he told her, but he said it worked. So she tells him that they need to go to bed early because they had to run some errands the next day. So they get up, stuff together, and they goes in town. They go in town and they do some shopping. Wow, my bad. They do some shopping. And while they shopping, it's not funny. And while they, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, my bad. So it goes in town and they start shopping. They do some shopping. They finish up and they goes back home. He goes home. They put everything away that they bought. So later that night, he said he was laying in his room again. And while he was laying there, he heard the same footsteps, back and forth, back and forth. But mind you, this time it don't stop at the window. It's like it's taunting him. But he don't get up. He don't go look, he just lays there. And he said eventually footsteps went away. So he said he finally goes to sleep. He gets up the next day and he tells his aunt. He said, have you ever seen anything down here like a bear or something like that? And she said, no, I didn't. And she said, why? And he said, no reason. I was just curious, just asking, because I thought bears was down here. He said, well, if it is, then I never seen one. So one more week will go past. He's in the living room looking at TV. Her daughter asks if she could go outside and play. Now, mind you, the mother tell her, don't go near the fence. This is what she tells her daughter. Don't go near the fence. I want mommy. So she goes out. And as she's going out, the mother goes, open the patio curtains, sit in a chair, and she looked right outside so she could see her playing. So she see her playing, running around. Then she noticed her daughter would go out of her eyesight and back in, out and back in, out and back in. But she said she didn't think that was strange. She just thought she was just still running around and playing. She said, so while she's sitting there, she see her daughter runs and she see her daughter stop. And she said while she's watching her, she can see her daughter waving. Like she's waving. Sitting there like, and she was saying like, what is this child doing? So she continued to watch her daughter. So she's watching her. That's when she hears her daughter's voice call out to something. She jumps up out her chair. She opens the patio door. She steps out. and she calls out to her daughter, "Who are you talking to?" That's when her daughter says, "I'm talking to the puppy." She said, "What?" She said, "The puppy over there by the bush." So the mother looks over. Says she sees nothing. But mind you, this bush is blocking her obscurity. It's blocking her sight. So she can't see what's on the other side. So she's still standing there. But she starts to walk off the patio and down into the backyard. And when she get to the bottom step and step off and stand there, she watch. She's looking at her daughter. She's just watching her. That's when she said her daughter called out again. Now the mother say she baffled. She don't know what's going on. Because she looks over there, she see nothing. She asks her daughter again, "Who are you talking to?" She tells her mother again, "The puppy." That's when the mother begins to walk slowly towards her daughter. As she's walking over towards her daughter, she stops. She stops about 10 feet. And she looks over near the bush. But she still can't see what's on the other side. She started to take a few more steps. And now her vision is getting clear. When she stopped, she leans over because now she ain't that far from her daughter. She leans over, tilts her head, and she looks. And when she looked, she see what she said at the time was a small dog, or maybe medium-sized dog to her. She said it wasn't big, it was small. And it was just laying down. But the thing about it, that the front forelegs, which we know they arms and hands, it's like this thing concealed them. So you couldn't even see it. So this thing had to be intelligent. It had to be smart. So to say she's looking, but she says As she eases up over towards her daughter, she say this thing starts to growl, and it bared its teeth. So the mother grabbed the daughter's hand and said, "Come on, let's go." She said when she grabbed her daughter's hand and was getting ready to take her in the house, she said this thing began to stand up on its back legs. And it started to growl again. Now, mind you, she know this ain't no ordinary dog. This ain't no pup that her daughter was calling out to. She watching this thing. And then she slowly walks with her daughter back towards the house. Now, mind you, while she's doing that, she said this creature is walking too, pacing her. Walking on the upper side of her fence line. She said she finally gets to the patio. She goes in, shut the door. She tells her nephew, lock all the windows and doors. They do that. So she set everybody down. And she's telling him now, I don't know what that thing is. I don't know where it came from. That's when he came and he opened up to her and told her what he was seeing. So she told them, you cannot be outside late. Don't go to the end of the fence. And your little cousin, she got to stay up here by the patio. So he asked her. He said, you don't want to call the police or something? She was like, no, because I don't even know what it is. And I don't know what I'm supposed to tell those people. So once he told them that, they stayed closer to the patio. They didn't go all the way back down there no more. So my witness said that a few more weeks would pass. Said one afternoon, he had to take, trash out because it was trash day the next day. So he takes the trash out, goes back in, he goes in his room, and he just sitting down. So he was sitting down just, messing with his phone. He said that while he was messing with his phone, he had all this commotion. Boom, bam, bam. So he jumps up. His aunt runs in his room and she said, you hear that? I said, yeah, I hear it. So he said she goes patio, turn on lights, look.
Oh no, lost him again. Hopefully he's going to bounce right back in. I swear, if he ever goes missing again, I'm going to go to Maryland and hunt his butt down. It's been too long since he's been on. I need to calm down. That guy can tell a story, I swear. I might have to send him a message. Please hang on. Of all the times for him to drop off too. Well, I just sent him a message. He might not have realized that he dropped off. Hopefully saw that message come in. While we're waiting on him to come back, I want to put a public service announcement out there. I alluded to the fact that next Friday night, the guest who's going to be on, Joyce, her encounter is, if it's not the most frightening encounter that's ever aired on the show, it's got to be in the top one or two. And with that in mind, I'm going to highly recommend that you listen to that show before you ever think about letting any kids, if you do have kids, and let them listen to the show. Highly recommend that you listen to that show before you let your kids do so, because what she went through, I mean, it was just the definition of a nightmare. She had several really bad encounters with this particular Dogman. You won't believe what she went through. So the way you normally do, please support her. I can't thank you enough for supporting the other eyewitnesses the way you do. And I'm really hoping that you're going to support Joyce the same way, because she definitely needs it. All right, I just got a message back from Marvin. He's saying, hold on. He's going to be right back. He's working on coming back into the room. And while we're waiting on him to do that, I also want to send a big thank you out there to Al Santoriga for coming on last night and filling in for Marvin. As you all heard, if you tuned in to last night's show, Marvin got hung up at the DMV and it took him longer than expected to get home. I guess the buses were running really slow or something. And Al was nice enough to stand in, and stand in he did. Wow, that story you told about the people for the Black Ops or the governmental program, whoever they worked for, that was pretty intense. Let's see how Marvin's doing. He should be back in any time. I guess to pass the time, I could sing if you guys want me to. Huh, I thought for sure that I'd get some comments in the live chat. Oh, well. Glenn Kamada says, please sing. Bianca Brown says, sing away. Well, what do you want me to sing? Oh, too late. Marvin's back. I can't sing for you. Sorry. Can you hear me, Marvin? Marvin, can you hear me? Give him a few. He should be able to hear us in just a moment here. Marvin, can you hear us? Marvin's using his phone to do this, and more than likely his phone is buffering, so please hang in there. Can you hear me, Marvin? Smurfy says, sing Lady Marmalade. No, that's not my style. I love to sing, but yeah, that's not my bag. Marvin, can you hear us? Wow, I wonder what's going on with his phone. If you're not having any luck, Marvin, if you can hear me, you might have to back out and come back in. Of all the times for you to drop off like that, I know it's not your fault, but man, that story is really getting good. LPS Lily says, sing Hungry Like the Wolf. Well, I don't do Duran Duran either. That's not my bag either. Casey Rich wants me to sing some death metal. Some Cookie Monster metal, huh? Well, I guess that's not my bag either. Problem Child says, hope he's okay. Yeah, he's fine. He's just having trouble getting his phone to sync up, I think. Sweet Caroline, the Young Homesteaders wants me to sing Sweet Caroline. Yeah, I could do that.
Word is so.
There you are.
Yes, I was here, big guy. Oh yeah, I don't know what happened to this thing. I've been trying to get back on here. I'm trying to pick up to where I left off at. I ain't know. I was texting them to see if I was still in the
Are you still there? You've got to save me here, Marvin. If you don't come back on, I'm going to have to sing something for these guys. Can you hear me? It's funny. Smurfy says, Marvin dipping in and out of portals. It almost sounds like it. The Notorious One wants me to sing some Hall & Oates, Maneater. I used to love Hall & Oates. It's too bad they had that falling out. Oh well. D-Truth says Marvin is more elusive than Bigfoot. Yeah, tonight with that bad connection he is. It's funny. Bianca Brown says, start singing. How about I sing Take Me There by Rascal Flatts? Yeah, it's funny. NKD2883 says, geez, someone doesn't want him to tell these stories, invoking white light and protection. Foreign protection around Marvin. Wow, the chat's scrolling fast. Foreign protection around Marvin.
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, I'm back. Okay, all right. Whoa, man, I don't. Somebody probably don't want me to tell.
Yeah, I'd say they don't.
That's crazy.
I have all kinds of trouble.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, take your time, Marvin. Reset, and then whenever you're ready, please continue.
All right. Just go. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna just start. Okay, Okay, you ready?
Yeah, fire away.
All right. So, like I was saying, she told them, in the backyard, don't go down to the end of, her property, where the fence go at. So, for the most part, they did that. They stayed up in that area where she could see them. So the summer was getting ready to come to an end. So my eyewitness said about a week before he was about to leave, he would see this creature again. So he says he ate dinner, and after he ate dinner on this day, he goes out. Now, mind you, he always used to take the dog out. But this time, he didn't. He goes out. And when he's out there, he just stands there. And he starts to look around, left, front, right. And while he's doing that, he catches eye shine straight ahead. The eye shine that he caught, he said it was high up, not low, but it was high up. And he said it was a bright yellow color. So he watching these sets of eyes. And while he's watching them, that's when he hear crack, crack. Turns real fast to his right. And when he looks over there, he sees another set of eyes. Now, when he sees this second set, he turns back to look for the first ones he saw. Poof! They wasn't there. So he looks. He's still looking all around. They gone. Turns back to his right. Poof! They was gone. So now he's baffled because he don't know where they went. He continued to look around. That's when he starts to hear something walking, leaves and twigs breaking. Crack, 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 making all type of noises. So he looks, but he don't see nothing. But he could hear this things walking. 5 steps. And when he stopped, he looks again. And while he's looking straight ahead, he hear this thing walking towards his left. and then it stopped. So he keeps his eyesight over in that direction. And while he's watching this particular spot, that's when he could hear something ruffling in the bushes. And he's watching over in this area. And while he's watching it, he said, that's when this creature stood up. He said, when it stood up, started to walk out of the tree line towards his aunt's property. He said, so while this thing is walking towards his aunt's property, he walked backwards. He gets down to the bottom step of that patio. He said, while he watching this thing walk, he said, as this thing walking, he don't know how I did it. He said, but when this thing did this, he like to on himself. He said, this thing was walking and it did this odd movement and it just leaped. Boom! Now this thing is on the other side of the fence. Now this thing is on her property. And when this thing landed, he said this thing just scared the, oh my God. Said this thing scared the out of him. He said, because when this thing jumped over and it landed, he knew it was going to get him. He knew he wasn't going to make it in the house. He said, so he didn't try to run. He couldn't move. Just stuck, just standing there. But this creature, it just stood there in the spot where it landed. And I asked him, why do you think it didn't come at you? He said he didn't know. I don't even know. Maybe this thing wanted to really scare the out of him, to let him know, look, I can get you anytime you want. This is my home, not yours. You just a visitor. So get it right. He said, after what seemed like a millennium to him, he hear his aunt call his name. And when his aunt called his name, he said, just as this creature came, this creature left. He goes in the house. This time, he tell his aunt, I don't think I'm gonna be back. But he did wind up coming back. And he did wind up seeing these creatures again on multiple occasions. But this wasn't all his story. This wasn't all his encounter. This wasn't everything. But as he's telling me, it got to him so bad that he stopped. And I lost contact with this eyewitness. I done called numbers he gave me and everything. But that was just part of it. And like I said, he went on to see these creatures multiple times. And I just hope he all right. Now that encounter happened in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now the next encounter, my eyewitness was visiting family. And while he was going to visit family, he knew that it was a long drive. And he wanted to get up and leave early. So that's what he did. Our witness got up and he left early. So he said, as he's driving, he said he didn't want to try to drive all the way there at one time. He wanted to stop. He wanted to get some rest. He said he drove for several hours. Then he said he decided to stop, some gas, get something to eat, go find a place where he could park and get some rest. So he get his gas, he eat, then he pulls off, he drives on, looking for a place to park and to get some rest. He said, so he driving. Said he drove for about 30 to 40 minutes. And he said just on his right, when he was driving coming up, he see this small area. See this small area with gravel rocks down on there. So he pulls up in there, he parked. Now mind you, he's still surrounded by nothing but woods. So he pulls up and he parks. Set his adjusts his chair, pulls it back a little bit. And he tried to go to sleep. He said as he's laying there trying to go to sleep, he keep hearing these bop, 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 bop. Keep hearing these sounds, like something knocking on something. So he sits up and he look around, up in the tree line, and see nothing. continues to lay back, try to get some sleep. So he's woke. He hear these sounds again. But this time it's a snap. Crack. He sets up. When he sets up, he see a set of glowing eyes. And he said it's by this bush. So he said, what the? That's what he said. The eyes just continued to go down low and it went out of view. So now he puzzled because now he want to know what had those eyes. So he continued to lay back again. And when he lay back this time, he said he finally dozed off. He said, but this time he was woke up. And the way he said he was woke up, he said his car was being shook vigorously. He said, so what the? He looks to the very mirror. He sees nothing. That's when he decides to turn on the lights. And when he did that, he see this dark shadow go down just behind his trunk. Now, mind you, one, he's by himself. Two, he don't have a weapon. And three, he don't know what it is. So he set his chair up. He sits there, looking back and forth out both windows. The passenger side, his side. Passenger side, his side. That's when he starts to hear the rocks starting to move, like something walking on it. How rocks sound together when somebody walking on them. See, that's when he could see this massive head appear over in the passenger side window. This man say this head was massive. It's like they took the window up and he see this long snout. Now he know that this ain't no ordinary animal. Now he know that this is something else. So he's looking over at this thing. He said, that's when this thing lift up a hand. Yeah. He said a hand. He said this thing had a hand with 5 digits before with a disposable thumb. And he put it up on the window of the passenger side door. And he began to push it. That's when my eyewitness said I thought that this thing was going to push the window in. He said because if it wanted to, it could have. He said that's when this creature, it ran his nails down the window. He said this thing ran his nails down the window, the claws. He said when this creature did that, it started to shake the car again. It would shake it and stop, shake it and stop. He said that's when this thing walks. Still on all fours, it walks around and stops just in front of his car. And when it do that, he said this thing stands up, facing him, and it placed both hands on the hood of his car, looking right at him. Said this thing had a long snout, bulky shoulders, and ears that set up. Now, mind you, he said the ears wasn't like pointy. He said it looked like it had some roundness to it. I'm like, you sure? And he said, yeah, I know what I saw. So I left it as that. He said this thing just, it's just looking at him. He said that's when he could hear something on the other side of the road in the tree line. And he see like 3 sets of glowing eyes. But the eyes was different. These was much smaller. So he knew that it wasn't another one of these creatures. He said that's when this thing turned in that direction. Now mind you, when it turned his head and looked, it still got his hands on the hood. It looks over there, it sniffs vigorously. I mean, it's sniffing. That's when it moved its hands. Turns and it begins to walk. As it's walking, it stopped just for a second. And it looks back. It looks back at my eyewitness. And he said it gave him this look that still shakes him to this core. He said it looked like this thing was grinning or smiling or something at him. This is what it looked like to him. He said that's when it turns back around and it heads over in that direction. That's when My eyewitness says he starts up the car. And when he did that, it was spinning. And he said, while those wheels were spinning, rocks was flying. And those rocks was going in that creature's direction. Hurry up. Spent, drove, got on the road, got out of there. He said he know he hit this creature with those rocks, but they were spinning and just shoot. He says when he driving and he looks, he sees this creature on all fours. I mean, he said this thing was on him, behind him. I mean, running on all fours. My witness said he just sped it up 90, 100. Said, lucky he was on the straightaway. Said as he was going faster and faster, creature was getting further and further back. He said he didn't go visit no family. He went back home. He said because he was scared. Yeah, scared. Because he didn't want to run into another one of these creatures. You know, and I asked him, I said, I told him, I said, you know what? I don't blame you. I would have went back home too. Then that was a encounter from, you know, my eyewitness. And we're gonna go on and get into this next encounter. Now, this next encounter, it comes from an eyewitness who, when he was growing up, his family was in, you know, the military. His father. And they was from, you know, York, Pennsylvania. And my witness said at the time, him and his father. No, man, let me find you. He said his father was a major in the U.S. Army. So him and his father went on a retreat, you know, up in York, Pennsylvania. And you know, that's the state that he was born in anyway. So he said one day while they was up there, they would I think after around a week. Said they was up there for about a week. He said they got this real bad snowstorm. Said this snowstorm was real bad during this time. So he said him and his father was looking out of the window. And he said they was looking over at the tree line. He said, and while they was looking over there, they seen this creature walking upright, coming out of the tree line. And as this thing was coming out of the tree line, my witness said that this thing had to be at least 10 feet tall. He said it had a really large head. Pointed ears, a long snout, wide shoulders with a mane, long arms with fingers and claws. Now, and also he said this thing had dog-like legs. They knew that this wasn't no normal animal that they saw. My eyewitness will go on to say, as this creature was walking, he said it paid them no attention. It just walked in the direction like it knew where it was going at. Now, mind you, the next day, that's when the military comes out. They comes out, they take pictures and measurements of these massive footprints of this dog-like creature. Now, mind you, this where it get wicked and it get tricky. He said the videos, pictures, and the measurements that they had, this sighting was never even talked about. And even his father having a rank that he did had no say so. So this sighting was like a disclosure. So that means the ones that saw it, basically they didn't see it because they couldn't talk about it. And it's crazy because it just seemed like when you trying to get something out there and let people know certain things, it's just, oh man, to let people know certain things, and you got, you're a major and all this, man, and your story still can't get out there. It's like you still gotta lie. You can't tell the truth. Man, that hurts. That, man, stuff like that really hurts, man. It do. It just hurt. It's just crazy, man. I just don't like that. It's crazy. Well, like I said, that encounter came out of Pennsylvania, and I was just grateful and happy that he told me, gave me that encounter to tell. And like I said, though, he even being in the army, it's just, Don't matter how much rank you got. You know, you gotta shut your mouth up, chill. Now, this next encounter, I'ma use this one before I tell another Dogman one. I'ma use this one now. I'ma call this a bonus encounter. Because they don't know what they really saw. But they came up with something in the end. Now, this encounter happens in California. My witness and her boyfriend was out there visiting her family in California. Now, mind you, on her parents' property, they had a tree house, 3 stories, first, second, and third. So on the first floor was like, you know, kitchen and stuff like that. Second floor, like, you know, a living room. Third floor, that's where it had the bedroom. Now, mind you, the bedroom had windows all the way around it. You know, it had windows all the way around it of the one of the you know, the bedroom. So they said when they get there, you know, they would do the same thing, you know, every day and stuff like that. So a couple of weeks would go past. Now, one weekend, they upstairs, they ate and did all that. They was getting ready to go to bed and stuff like that. So she falls asleep way ahead of time. So he said he finally goes to sleep. He said, but he wakes up, he got to use the bathroom. So he goes to the bathroom and he comes back. Now, mind you, before he can get back into the bed, he said something caught his attention outside of the window, about 15 yards in a tree. He walks over, he stands at the window and he looks out it. And he said about 15 yards, he sees something perched on this thick branch. He said he sees something perched. And he said the way that this thing was perched had his legs apart. And it had his legs apart. Then it had his hands, what he said, in between the legs. So he had them, you know, resting on the branch between his legs. And he said he's looking at this thing, and the first thing he noticed was those fiery red eyes. He said this thing had some, man, the eyes just was, the red was just out of this world. Fiery red. So he's looking at this thing. He said that's when he noticed that this thing had leathery skin and wrinkly. He said this thing had leathery, wrinkled skin, just like the face. He said the face, from what he could see, was just it was just wrinkled, like it was just disfigured. Now this when he say this get crazy. He said that's when he's looking at this thing. He said he see this thing extend its wings. He said this thing was open his wings up and he brought them back. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, this thing had wings. So he said he opened them, stretched them out, and he brung it back. He said when this thing brung him back, it jumped down off of the branch where it was perched. Poof. And it was gone. He gets back in the bed and he falls asleep. That ain't all. Because around 5 o'clock that morning, the girlfriend would be woke up by sounds coming outside of the window. She sets up. She looked. And when she looked, she said she sees this thing hanging upside down outside of the window. And I asked her, what did this thing look like? She said this thing was black, leathery skin. Face looked like an old wrinkled up man. Red eyes. She said she could notice that it had gray strands of hair on its head. Long fingers. It had claws on the tip of them. And she said she watching this thing. And she said while she's watching it, that's when this thing opens its wings. And she said when it did that, didn't fly off, just brought them back. Now she's puzzled. Now, because she don't know what this thing is. So she continued to watch this creature. And as she's watching it, this thing just let go of whatever was holding them up and was gone. It just left. The next day, or later on that morning when they got up, he told her about what he seen. And she said, I seen the same thing. Now, mind you, these eyewitnesses will go on and see this creature for that whole time they were there. asked her and him, what y'all think y'all saying? They said, I think it was a vampire. I said, for real? Said, yeah, the way it looked. She said it looked like a vampire. He said the same thing. I don't know what it was. But I would like to know if I seen it, what it was. But it's their sighting. What they describe is what they think it is. And like I said, they seen it for the whole time they was there visiting family. So she said before they left, 2 days before they left, she said she was up in the room. Now, mind you, this is daytime now, like in the afternoon, but it's daytime. She said because he was gone. He had went somewhere with her father. She said she's in the room. She said, this thing was sitting or perched again on that branch. Just sitting there. Calm. And she said this thing looked just like a vampire. That's what they saying. That's what it looked like to them. Who's to say what it was? Wasn't nobody else there but them. So when they described it, that's what it looked like to them. So when they finally left and they went back home, I was so grateful to get that encounter. You know what I mean? Because it was something different, you know. It wasn't, you know, just Dogman sighting. It was, you know, it was something else. And that's something I like. You know, I like when it's other cryptids or when it's other beings. You know, I like that stuff. I don't like it for it to be the same thing over and over and over again. You know? Now, videotape a Dogman. He sent it to me. He sent it to me. And mind you, this is right beside his house where he live at. It's right beside his house where he live at. It's right by his house where he live at. So he sent me the video. I mean, I gotta, you know, sharpen it up and stuff like that. But yeah, he got it. He definitely got it. I'm gonna see and see if I can get permission to show it. So I gotta ask him and see what he say. As long as he say I can, then I can. But that's why I said, that was their encounter, and out there in California. Man, that's all I've been doing is gathering encounters. Y'all know I'm gonna keep them coming. Every time y'all want me to come back on that show, I'm coming back. Every time. But I'm gonna give y'all another encounter. Well, this one ain't gonna be real long, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna give y'all another encounter. Now this encounter right here, this came from somebody that I can call my friend now. That I had met. I met this eyewitness in the library. I met this eyewitness in the library. And when I was in there, I was sitting down and I was doodling. But what I was doodling is I'm trying to draw me a Dogman. So she was like, "Well, what is that? What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing. I ain't just fooling around." And she said, "Oh." So she said, "Let me see your paper." Gave her the paper, and she sat there and she drew a picture of this wolf thing. So I mean, I'm looking at it, and when I'm looking at it, she like, so like I said, this eyewitness right here, I gotta find out why I lost y'all at. But anyway, like I said, this eyewitness is right here. Her encounter happened here in Maryland. Like I said, I was in a library and she drew this picture of this wolf creature, and I was like, "Oh, you nice, you can draw." And I said, "What made you draw this?" She said, "Because this is the thing that I saw." And I didn't make fun of her, nothing like that. I said, "What, huh?" She said, "This is the thing that I saw on my grandparents' property." So I asked her, I said, "Well, do you mind sharing it with me?" I let her know. I said, I won't tell nobody about this or nothing like that. She said, "Sure, meet me here in library, tomorrow." So I did that. Went to the library. She sat down, and this is her story. She said her family them owned property up in one of our counties. I'm not gonna give the county name because I told I wouldn't do that. Up in one of our counties, and they had animals and stuff like that. So she used to get up and do chores and stuff like that. Something she loved to do, she didn't mind. So she used to get up and she used to do that. So she got up one weekend and she said while doing her chores, she noticed the backside of the fence that went to where they kept the chickens at. It was completely pulled off completely. And it wasn't this. She said it wasn't this thin stuff. It was this was heavy. This was heavy material that they used to make it, and this was something to just pull it off like paper. And when she looks in there, She said, I mean, man, chickens, they just slaughtered. Blood, feathers, everywhere. She runs in, get her grandpa. He comes out her with his gun. Comes out, he look, son of a mother. She said when she heard him say that, it sounded like grandpa knew what it was. So she said, Grandpa, what? What is it? And he said, no, baby girl, you don't have to worry about it. I'ma get it. I'ma get that guy. So she left it alone. She said a few more days would pass. She outside and she's sitting down. Sitting down, and she said she was reading this book. She said as she's sitting there and she reading her book, that's when she hear this sound coming from over where the barn is. She said, but it was like this faint sound. She said it was like a distress sound, a distress call or something. To her, that's what it sounded like. She gets up and she starts to walk over in that direction. And as she's walking over in that direction, she see the barn door, boom, slams real fucking hard. She stopped, she froze. She just stand there. And she looks over there at the door. She said she's looking over at the door when she saw that hand come out of that barn. She turned and she hauled tail back in the house. Grandpa seen his hand. I seen his hand coming out the barn. And Grandpa said, stay here. But she didn't. She went with him. So as they goes back down there, he stands there. He stands about 15 feet from that barn. That's when Grandpa, boom, 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 boom. He just starts shooting through the door of the barn. Runs down there. Sling open the door. When he opened the door and he starts to walk, he noticed the back of the barn, it's gigantic planks gone. Just ripped off. And motherfucker just pushed through the rest of them. And he looked down and he see blood. He see droplets of blood. He wanted to follow them. Follow the blood trail. But he didn't. He used his head. Oh. So He wanted to follow the trail, but he didn't. He goes back out. He tells his granddaughter, I think I got him. I think I got him. I think he might be dead. I don't know. So she's saying, got what, Grandpa? Got what? So he tells her the story of these creatures. And he said, I seen them when I was little. And as the years passed, they would come and they would go. They would come and they would go. He said, but the past few years, they just been killing stuff and doing this and doing that and turning knobs and all this stuff. I had enough of it. So every chance I get, I was going to kill him. This is what our grandfather was saying. So he tells her, start letting me know when you going out to feed the animals. I'll go with you. And she said, okay. So one day she gets up. She begins to tell him. She goes out, starts feeding them. Now, as she's doing that, she says she could feel something staring at her, looking at her. She just got this feeling that she's being watched. So as she's finishing up feeding the animals, she walking back towards the house. So she goes in the house and she tells her grandfather, Granddaddy, I don't think you killed it. And he said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I killed it. I know I did. Granddad, you didn't. It's out there. And I think it's after me. I think it want me. I think it's trying to kill me, Granddad. Oh, that thing ain't trying to kill you. It's probably pissed off because I shot it. But I'm telling you, I think I killed it. She said, no, you didn't, Granddad. But my eyewitness would go on to see these creatures numerous times over the years. She tried to grant me permission to do like a survey, go out there and take a look on their property. But her grandfather was in the hospital at the time and she had to get permission from him before I could even enter on their property. So that's one thing I'm waiting for that I would really like to do. I would really like to go up there and do that because they own a lot of stuff. They own a lot of property. And I just want to do that so bad. And like I said, I can't wait. I really can't. Now that was that return counter. Like I said, that happened here up in one of the counties, and like I said, I'm just grateful for everyone I get. I really am, and that's the last one I have. But it's never the last one I have. But I always got more. Y'all might want me to come back next week, so gotta save some.
Oh man, don't tempt me like that. Yeah, that's far from your last encounter, but yeah, it's the last one for tonight. And yeah, like I told you before, Marvin, I really appreciate you coming back on. It's been too long. I mean, I was in withdrawal almost.
Ah! Oh, I know, man. Like I said, it'll never be like that again. Because I was reading sometime and I'll be looking and I'll be like, Vic be like, well, I have no bad news. The eyewitness tonight can't be able to make it. I'm like, oh, man. Oh,
It happens.
yeah, it do. It do. It really do.
It definitely does. Well, Marvin, I'm just excited at the prospect of having you come back again. So,
Hey,
all you do is just let me know when you're ready to come back and we'll get this set up.
I'm always ready to come back, Vic. It don't even matter. I just seen the remark, and they like, please bring Marvin back.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at all.
Like I said, I don't have no problem, Vic. You need me, I'm there. I'm there. I want to keep doing this and keep myself busy anyway. So
See, people in the chat right now are already asking for you to come back. So, yeah, that'll make a lot of people happy.
yeah, it will. And I don't mind.
Well, it's definitely
Somebody said something about the military. The guy got when his people was in the that military when they went up there. He said, far as that was concerned, he said that he went out and they took pictures and measurements of the footprints that they found, and they was recording all this stuff. He said, but somehow that it was never even told again. So what happened that day? It's like it stayed back there. It wasn't even talked about it. Didn't matter if you was a general or whatever. They told you shut up. You just had to shut up. They couldn't even speak about it no more. And that's just crazy.
Yeah, that's just how it works. Like some people have said, the military definitely doesn't want this getting out of the bag, their existence. You can talk about them, but yeah, if you have the means to prove their existence, that's when the problems start.
Yeah, that's definitely when it started though. And even though your father had rank, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what rank he had.
You're right.
When they told him shut up, if that's it, that was it.
In the story. Yeah, that is it. Looks like Mahala just donated $5. Thank you, Ma. That's awfully nice of you. And she left a comment. Thank you, Marvin and Vic. I agree. Thank you, Marvin.
Absolutely. I'm just ecstatic about everybody that showed up and showed out.
Well, that goes two ways. When you have a draw like you, it's no wonder that so many people showed up. So
yeah, they say, please don't disappear again, Marvin. Don't go away again. I won't, y'all. I'll be here. I promise. I'll definitely be here. Like I said, I got enough encounters, man, and I'ma always share with y'all. I miss y'all so much, so y'all ain't even gotta worry about me disappearing again. I won't.
Well, that's music to our ears because we definitely missed you. So we're just glad to have you back. Well, it looks like Joe Nugent also made a donation. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it.
That's good.
Definitely. Well, having said that, Marvin, it's time for us to get out of here. But before we do, I just want to thank you one more time for coming back on and sharing these encounters with us in the way that only you can.
Thank you so much, Vic. And like I said, thanks for everybody that was showing up. And showing up and supporting Vic and me, me being gone for so long. And like I said, I'm proud to be back, and I'm back, and I'm not going nowhere. So I promise y'all that. But I enjoyed this. I really did.
Well, that goes two ways. And for everyone listening, I see a couple of comments in the live chat, people asking about your Facebook page. If you can send me a link to it, Marvin, I'll just post that link to it in the description for tonight's show. That'll make it really easy for anyone who wants to contact you to do that, if that's all right.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Well, everyone listening, thanks again so much for listening and for supporting the show the way you do. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you've had a Dogman encounter of your own you'd like to speak with me about, whether in private or on the show, it doesn't matter. Please go to dogmanencounters.com, submit a report. And if you do that and fully complete the report, I'll be more than happy to schedule a phone conversation with you so we can talk about your encounter. But having said that, thanks again so much for listening and have a great night.